Here is Yourgame 3D's terrain editor. So basically, you have seen in a previous tutorial how to move in this editor, how to navigate in this 3D area. So you have a function to display or to hide the terrain, so that you can see, only the objects, all the objects and the terrain. And the rest of it, the rest of this editor is mostly like, let's say like a software designed to draw things like Photoshop or something. So there's a brush, and you can of course set the size of the brush and its intensity. So as you can see, the first function used here is raise. So the raise function is basically used to raise the level of the terrain, to create hills or little mountains, things like that. The next function I'm using here is the lower function. It's the opposite of the raise function. As you can see, it's useful to create some little holes to dig in your landscape. So using these two functions can very quickly create quite convincing 3D universe. So I'm going to use the raise once again with a bit more intensity to create something, to have fun, to create a little lake, for example. Now I'm going to use the third function of the terrain editor, which is smoothen. So to smoothen the terrain, and basically to smoothen some angles that are pretty sharp. So here I'm just making everything look not so aggressive, not so sharp. Now the last and a very interesting function is to level up the terrain. So level up or level down the terrain. Basically, you start from a specific height on the terrain, and then you create something like a bridge or a little plateau, something like that. So as you can see, in something like 3 or 4 minutes, we have created something that is already very personal, very convincing. So now we are going to use the height map. So if you click on display the height map, you can see your whole map as a grayscale picture. So there are a few functions. So the erosion function allows you to erode the terrain, just make it look more natural, like it has been worn out by the wind. So then this function here allows you to create plateaus. So you have to choose the number of floors, and once you have done this, once you have clicked on apply, as you can see, there are floors on the hills that we have created earlier. That's very useful to create some levels on which characters can walk and everything. Then, very interesting thing, then the smoothing of the terrain. So as you can see, all the sharp edges, all the sharp angles have been removed. Try to use it with caution, so that your work doesn't vanish. The last thing is a function that allows you to apply what we call noise on your terrain. Applying noise on your terrain is a function that allows you to make your terrain looks like it has been worn out as well, but not as erosion. Something, it puts random holes, random little hills everywhere. So on this tab you can paint textures on the terrain, and it works the same way actually. So you have a brush, you just use your left click once you have set the size and the intensity of the brush. As you can see, it's very easy to replace a texture by another. On some later releases of Yourgame 3D, we are planning to add something so that you can set at which height the textures are to be applied. So here I'm loading the image library. Here I'm going to find another texture to show you that, well, you can replace a texture by another. So I'm going to choose this mossy rock. So I'm going to, let's say, I'm going to replace those gravels by a mossy rock texture. That's pretty easy. So you just have to click on the texture you want, drag it and drop it on the previous texture. And as you can see, everything has been replaced. This texture here, for example, hasn't been designed to be watched from a long distance. And of course, you can use also colors. So here by default we have this neutral gray, so it's 128 on red, green and blue. So I'm gonna paint something in pink because I love pink. Well, as you can see, it works the same way. Notice that if you go back to the neutral gray, you will have the original color of the texture.